As the CEO of a food company, you have one of the toughest jobs on the planet. You have to make sure that everything in your organization is going perfectly all the time so that you're producing products that your consumers absolutely love. And all those activities have to be done in such a way that you're hitting profitability targets every single quarter. I'm here today to talk with you about a threat to that profitability and that satisfaction that really isn't talked about a whole lot because it's just assumed that it's going to be working properly, and that's food safety. Because recalls are a gigantic threat to your organization. Now, you may think internally that you've got everything in place and the systems that you need to prevent a recall from happening. Things have changed. FDA has modified how they're doing things, and the threat of a recall in your company and the impact on your profitability is greater than ever before. That's why today I want to talk with you about a brand new tool that my company has developed called Enterprise-Wide Risk Assessment. This is a proprietary process. It's not an audit. It's a proprietary process that we have developed to look under the hood of your company, to go into your headquarters with a team of experts and look at not only the departments, but the interactions within those departments to make sure that things are working the way that you think they should be working. Because a lot of times, you can be surprised by what you find. Now, as we all know, within the food industry, change is occurring rapidly. And I was at a conference earlier this year, and at this conference was quite a few CEOs within the food industry, top-tier individuals who really know what's going on. And I was able to talk with a few of them, and I asked them all the same question. And I said, what's the main thing that you're thinking about? What's that greatest challenge to your profitability in your company within the coming year? And to a person, every one of them said what I'm sure you're thinking about as well, which is the Amazon acquisition of Whole Foods. Game changer. It's rewriting how we do things in the food industry, and it's going to be that way for years to come. But once again, I'm here to tell you that the threat of FDA and their change and their aggressive new tactics around food safety management are a bigger threat to your organization than this. My name is Brian Armentrout, and I'm the CEO of the Food Leadership Group. I'm an industry veteran. I have worked over 20 years down in the trenches managing food safety for top-tier, multi-billion-dollar companies. In addition to that, I was the vice chair of the SQF Technical Advisory Council, the leading standard in the US for food safety. I also wrote the best-selling book, The New Manager Mindset, where I help brand new managers who've recently been promoted into learning the tools of the trade so that they can become successful managers and succeed in their organization in their new role. Now, Thursday, December 21st is a date that I will never forget. That's the date where I got a call from the Florida State Department of Health. And they told me something that I didn't believe. They said, we found listeria in a random sample of cheese that we pulled from a supermarket. Now, the reason I didn't believe this was this is one of my best plants. This was top-tier manufacturing, and they were telling me I had a problem. I thanked them for the information. I started the recall procedures within my company, notified FDA, and I was on a plane the very next day. And this plant became my home for the next 2 months. And we tore this place apart. And during that period of time, this plant was shut down. The company was losing millions of dollars. The media was involved, and our consumers were worried. They were worried that we were producing product that was going to make them sick. And it was my job to go out there and find out if that was true or not. And you know what? We found it. We found a sporadic problem in the plant. It wasn't widespread, and it was pretty small, but it was there. There was a machine like this one. And this machine had a little bit of contamination down in the bottom. And there was a little bit of cheese that the sanitation crew wasn't missing because they couldn't see it and they couldn't clean it. And every now and then, it would randomly contaminate other cheese that was going through that machine. Now, luckily with this, no one got sick or hurt, which is great. I mean, nobody ever wants that in those situations. We recalled the product from the marketplace, destroyed all the inventory, and then restarted the plant with a clean slate. But it was a really emotional experience for me. And I went back to New York and I sat down at my desk and I thought about what happened with this for a really, really long time. Because the bottom line is, we did everything. We did everything within our company according to plan. We had some of the best systems out there. We had awesome programs. We had the right people. We had all of the high audit scorings and certifications. We tested our products in our environment like crazy to make sure we didn't have a problem. But we still had a recall. Why was that? Now, in the food industry, one of the things that's very alarming is the frequency and the cost of recalls is going up. There was a study from Forbes magazine that was recently done where they looked at the average cost of a recall in the United States. Do you know what that number is? It's now $30 million. And that's just the average in the US. There was a case recently in Europe with Fonterra and Dannon where Fonterra sent some milk powder that they thought may have botulism in it. The court case on that was finally settled. And Fonterra had to pay to Dannon $125 million. Now, if your profit margin is 10% on a product like that, you have to come up with an additional $1.25 billion in sales above what you're already doing just to break even. Those are hard to find. The results for recalls for 2016 are now out, and they found 762 recalls. That's 15% higher than the prior year, 2015. And 2017 looks to be even higher. So the number of recalls is going up. The Food Safety Modernization Act was supposed to reduce recalls, but it's doing the opposite. And FDA is getting a lot of heat, and they're getting a lot of criticism for that. And as a result of that, they're becoming more and more aggressive with food companies. Let's take a quick look here at a well-known instance of food safety violations within the industry, and that's Chipotle Mexican Grill. During this period of time, August 15 to October of 17, and this red line here represents their stock price. Stock price was around $750. It dropped all the way down to $300, and it hasn't recovered since. And all these points along here that follow this red line are their food safety failures within the organization. Their market cap at this point in time was around $23.2 billion. At the end, 8.8. That's a loss in shareholder value of $14.4 billion. The CEO and founder of the company has recently announced that he's stepping down from that position. Now, what happens if this is your company? How would you be reacting if this is your chart and these are your food safety issues in the marketplace? Don't let your company get in that position. Because the bottom line is, we don't just sell food. We sell trust. And if that bond of trust with the public is broken, your company will be severely penalized. I recently had dinner with Joe Levitt. Joe was a former head of CFSAN at FDA. He now works at the law firm of Hogan Lovells in DC. And he said, Brian, the rules of the game have changed. And I kind of looked at him and said, well, Joe, what do you mean by that? And he said, Brian, you have to understand, FDA has changed their approach, and they now have unprecedented access to all of your records in your company, all of your systems, and all of your people. Now, in the past, FDA would go to plants and look at this information, but guess what? They're now going to corporate. They are going to your corporate headquarters, and they are auditing all of your individuals who handle food safety. And that's just not quality or legal. That's procurement, R&D, anybody who touches that process. And they want to make sure that you're producing product safely. You need to be ready for that visit from FDA because they are coming. They have already started doing these audits. That's why my company developed the Enterprise Risk Assessment. This is the evolution of corporate compliance. This is to Sarbanes-Oxley in finance to food safety. What we're doing is we're going in and really looking at your company and seeing how things actually function. So what exactly is an enterprise risk assessment? To start off with, it's probably easier to explain what it's not. What it is not is an audit. This is not a checklist of a few hundred questions where a former retired QA manager from a production facility comes in and gives you a score. This is not an audit. This is a team of world-class professionals based upon your particular needs who are coming into your company and looking at your different departments. So former heads of operations, procurement, quality, chief legal counsels who understand what world-class looks like. And they can look at all your different departments. And they'll perform a strategic gap analysis. And by the time this is done, you will have a clear understanding of where the gaps are in your company and where the threats are relative to your particular risk profile. You'll then have a tactical action plan. You'll be able to know who, what, why, how, where, when, all of those type of things you need to understand and where you need to put your resources and capital. Bottom line is you need to pressure test your systems. When people tell you as the CEO that things are going the way they should, you need to verify that that is actually the case. You need to pressure test the system or FDA is going to do it for you. You need an independent and an objective assessment. You need people who are coming into your company, looking at these things and giving you a clear picture of what they're seeing. Because a lot of times, fresh eyes within that organization are showing you things that other people are walking by every day and they don't see. Because the bottom line is you don't want to meet up with this guy. We all know him. This is Bill Marler. He's one of the leading industry food lawyers and he makes his living off suing food companies. If there's a major class action for a food recall, he's representing the plaintiffs. He's suing for millions of dollars, and he's probably going to get it. He's very good at what he does. You don't want to even meet him in court. But if you do, you need to have evidence of due diligence. And if you've got a report like this on your side, you're showing that court that you're doing above and beyond for food safety. You need a private internal process. This is not for your customers. This is not for public consumption. This is covered by attorney-client privilege, and this is an internal process where you use this to control your destiny. And you can see where your weaknesses and strengths are and act accordingly. So, I have just absolutely thrown a ton of information at you at this point in time. What are the next steps? First thing is, now that you've processed this, don't sit on it. Don't wait. You need to schedule a call with me. Every company is different. We need to talk, and I need to understand what it is that you're doing, what your risk profile is, and then we can figure out what is the correct proposal for you so that you can correctly evaluate your company and move forward. Of course, I'm available for questions. My phone number is here on the slide. So please reach out to me as quickly as you can, and let's get this process started. Once again, my name is Brian Armentrout, and I'm the CEO of the Food Leadership Group. Thank you very much.